because we ascribe to what is called emotivism, that are the way of talking about things. Our way of talking about things has fallen apart. And emotivism is the idea that all judgments are nothing but an expression of preference. So if I say this is good, what I mean is I like this, I prefer it. This philosophy is nonsense, but we have sunk so deep into it that we basically think that's what we're arguing about. We're arguing about whether this guy cries on the air. We're arguing about whether you feel offended. We're not arguing about whether something is right or wrong. You know, and one of the things that I keep saying, in order to know whether something is right or wrong, you have to know what something is for. Yesterday on Twitter, a band called Our Last Night tweeted me and said, we saw you on Dave Rubin, and the guy said he's a big fan of the show. He's listening to the show, but he happened to see me doing an interview on Dave Rubin, and he wrote a song for me, inspired by me, and it kind of cracked me up because it's this kind of punk, is that what would be called, punk rock? Yeah, that I wouldn't listen to, but the lyrics of the opening come right out of my mouth. So play this thing and you can hear me talking in it.
We believe that human beings are just material things. Destined to grasp every little bit of happiness. But without a purpose, do we truly know what we are good for? Do our philosophies make sense when we truly test them? I'm more than just a ghost in the machine. Not just
So it's not, it's pretty good actually. It's good. It's a good song, and apparently they're a big cover band, and people really like them. And the video is very cool. It gets very weird as it goes on. It's got like this half-formed body on a table and all this. But the stuff that I'm saying through that song, that you have to know what you're for in order for your philosophy to make sense, and in order to know the good from the bad. I mean, that is how, Jesus said, be perfect. They always quote this as be perfect like your Father in heaven is perfect. But the word for perfect there is the word for reaching your end, reaching your purpose, fulfilling what you're here for. So what he's saying is that when you understand that, it starts to make sense of the things like, turn the other cheek. What he's saying is you fulfill your purpose. Don't let other people get in the way of you doing that. And in fact, the word for sin in Greek is a word that means to miss the target. It doesn't mean to do something bad. It means to miss your end. And so that's what we're really arguing about. And when everybody is saying the same thing, you have to start to ask yourself questions, because every incident, a shooting, a school shooting, a vote, every incident can be covered from a million different angles. So if everybody is covering it from the same angle, you have to start to say, hey, there's an agenda here. Right? You might cover this, just tell the facts. That would be a good way to start. You might cover it from the mental illness point of view. You might cover it from the gun point of view. Whatever whatever you're doing, when everybody is covering it from the same point of view, you have to say why. Why is it? It's because they don't really have a sense of what the gun issue is about. Yesterday, somebody wrote me in the mailbag and asked me about free will, and I was kind of riffing on it. I wasn't talking about it, but there's a guy. Yuval Noah Harari, I think his name is. He wrote this really interesting book called Sapiens, and he's one of these guys who, like Sam Harris, just makes these absolute statements with absolute confidence that you can't possibly know whether they're true or not. So there's no free will. It was always an illusion. It's always an illusion. Religion is it's a fiction. Religion or just fiction. And you think like, well, wait a minute. This argument has been going on for thousands of years, and then they always use the same trick. They always say this may make some people uncomfortable, as if then you feel like you're the jerk. But the fact is, it makes you uncomfortable because it doesn't make any sense. The idea about free will that I was trying to get across is that really what we're arguing about when we're arguing is, are you there? Is there a you there? And this is the argument between scientism, which is not science. Scientism is the idea that science solves everything, and the idea of spirituality, the idea of spirituality is that the internal experience you are having is what is sacred about you. And that internal experience can be mistaken. You can be seen having delusions, but the very fact that you can be having delusions means that you can also be seeing things rightly. If you can be seeing them wrongly, that must be because there is a right that you're deviating from. What the scientists are always saying is, though, this you is an illusion thrown up by physical forces. And that doesn't make any sense to me, because what it essentially says is there has to be a physical world in order for there to be an idea. It has to be that we know that there are ideas that are true. 2 + 2 = 4 is a true idea. It has no physical body, but you can never experience without the physical body. You can't experience it without my saying it. I can't experience it without my brain sending signals to my mind. These ideas only can express themselves in physical form. What makes sense to me is that the physical world is an expression of an idea, and it's the idea of God, and that you, your body, your life is an expression of the idea of you, God's idea of you. That is what the spiritual world says. If that's true, then the most important thing we have is you and your freedom, your ability to express who you are and live out God's idea of you to the fullest possible extent, which you can only do by having free choice. That means you're going to make mistakes. That means that some of you are going to do evil. That means that the world is going to be a much more chaotic and unequal place than it would be if I can stop believing in you and start controlling you in a way that seems good to the powerful and the elite.